Hello and welcome to the Factory of Fear. I'm Zach, and today we're going to be talking about the dark side of Domino's Pizza's history. It all starts in 1986. Domino's advertising company makes a new mascot for them named the Noid. And if you don't know who the Noid is or was, he was like a supervillain who was always trying to stop the Domino's pizzas from being delivered and was just being a general fucking pest. Their advertising slogan was "Avoid the Noid," and they made a series of animated commercials where the Noid would try to destroy Domino's Pizza and be thwarted one way or another. Personally, I wasn't around during this time. I've only seen the clips online on YouTube, but I can honestly say that it's a super engaging and interesting premise for an advertising campaign for a pizza company. Something that none of the other companies had done at that point. Needless to say, the Noid was insanely popular and they were looking for new ways to grow this character. In 1988, Domino's and CBS were looking to make a cartoon series about the Noid, but it was quickly canceled because parents were worried that it was only being made to profit off children and make them want to buy more pizza. In 1989, they were able to release a video game for the Commodore 64 in which you had to avoid the Noid who was trying to stop you from delivering pizzas. In Japan in 1990, Capcom released a video game called, pardon my butcherization, Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru, and when brought to America it was called Yo Noid. In this game, the Noid was brought in to stop his evil twin and was given pizza rewards for doing so. However, this kind of does contradict the lore of the Noid that we have at this point, because at this point the Noids disliked Domino's Pizza, or like he's trying to stop Domino's, but now he's helping Domino's and giving Domino's. So is Yo Noid canon to the lore of Domino's Pizza? Who knows? Not me. The Noid advertising campaign was faded out, and there was never really a reason given as to why. While, of course, the internet is filled with theories, I'm sure, the one that you see a lot is the one we're going to be talking about today. In 1989, a man named Kenneth Noid held 2 Domino's employees hostage at gunpoint. Honestly, there's not a lot of information about Kenneth Noid out there, but it does seem that he suffered from paranoia, and he believed that the owner of Domino's, Tom Monaghan, had it out for him. He believed that the Avoid the Noid advertising campaign was made to attack him because his last name was Noid. He believed that Tom Monaghan would routinely spy on his apartment, and that the two had an ongoing feud. He kept the 2 employees hostage, demanding a large sum of money. Some sources say 10,000, some say 100,000, and he also demanded a white limo. At one point, he offered one of the hostages in exchange for a book called The Widow's Son by Robert Anton Wilson, which was actually a second book in a series called the Illuminatus Trilogy, the Historical Illuminatus Chronicles. I don't know anything about the books, I've never read them personally, and there doesn't seem to be any relation between him and the books. It's just he wanted the book, I guess. I don't believe he ever actually got his book, but a few hours later he forced the hostages to make him 2 pizzas, and while he was having his pizza time, the hostages escaped the Domino's Pizza. Noid was charged with kidnapping, aggravated assault, extortion, and possession of a firearm during a crime. He then spent about 6 years in a mental health institution before taking his own life in 1995. While Domino's has never directly contributed this to the end of the Avoid the Noid campaign, it's likely it had some pull in the decision. If I was running a business and my advertising campaign was involved in a larger, more public crime in which it caused my employees direct harm, I personally would end the advertising campaign no matter how profitable it is. While I'm not the CEO of a huge business like Domino's, I could see why it would be a contributing factor to ending the advertising campaign. It's also possible that the advertising campaign was just not as profitable as it was when it began. Maybe it was on the decline. We don't know. They've never really released the numbers. This is really the biggest theory about why that campaign ended. That's not the end of the Noid, though. The Noid eventually came back in May of 2011 and was actually the main face of the Domino's Facebook page. Later that year in August, there was actually another video game released called The Noid Super Pizza Shootout, and it was a tribute to the first game, Avoid the Noid. Even today, people still love the Noid. In 2016, a company called Spooky Pinball announced that their Domino's-themed pinball machine was going to have the Noid heavily incorporated into the design. And in 2016, he was also part of the USA Pizza Playback ad campaign. Sadly, we haven't seen a full return of the Noid with his wacky antics and everything, but we've seen him a few places here and there, and Domino's still acknowledges that part of their history, which is nice, but they've never pulled the trigger and gone headfirst into this advertising campaign. I don't think it would be as successful as it was back in the day, because now you see every company has some animated little guide that they use to promote their stuff, a mascot, if you will. And that's the story of the Noid. That's Domino's dark history. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. You can check out my last video I did, or you can check out a recent video that I did on another true crime case. It was actually the Curse of the Conjuring movies, if you want to check that out. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.